Hey, this is Jim Craddock, and today is March 30th, 2025. That's a Sunday. That means, I made it through this week. I made it into uh, the weekend. My son came. He forgot his medicine to take it back with him again, but he'll be fine. He's coming back next weekend for his prom. Uh, I have been through a lot of changes this week physically. It's probably the most dramatic week I've had as far as the change in strength of my legs. I, realistically, they've been getting weaker over the last several months. I mean, over the last year, really, as I stopped walking the dog with my wife last summer, and because it would just make them ache afterwards. And I was still able to walk everywhere. I could tell that they were a little weaker and stuff. But then I realized just recently that, I was lifting my legs into and out of the car kind of subconsciously, unconsciously. Uh, and the same thing with the bed. And so they were getting a lot weaker. And then uh, after the pain that was in my elbow and into my arm and then into my legs, they've gotten just dramatically weaker. But so I saw my doctor this week, my PCP, and he went ahead and ordered tests, a Doppler test for my legs. But interestingly, my appointment is not till Friday at 6:15 in the evening. Uh, but that's good. It sounds real soon to anyone who's watching this, but the truth is the changes are happening so fast, and the differences in not just the strength, but in the way everything's moving too. That uh, it's just pretty dramatic. As someone who's going through it now, it doesn't. Uh, it actually doesn't hurt as much this week as it did last week, for example. Uh, Last week I was having kind of pains through my shoulders more and arms. I still have, when you flex muscles is when the pain hits some. So even just doing this a little bit in the arm, you can feel it. But it's nothing like a summer and a half ago when I had the super uh, arm stiffness as the uh, candidiasis first moves through the cells, I think. So this is more along the lines of, I think now the sugars or ketones have gotten to those apoptic tissues that have the candidiasis wrapped up in the cell wall. And so once those sugars hit that cell wall, that candidiasis wakes up and it starts consuming things. And I think that's what happened here. And so now it's in kind of a different layer of the body, and I don't know how long that'll take. But my what I would imagine is it will go just like the article said, is that everything will just kind of slowly stop, and basically I'll die sitting up in my chair. And honestly, that's the kind of the best case scenario. Is where the way I put it to my doctor's nurse this week. I'm like, if any other scenario ends up with me in a hospital and them trying to figure out what's going on, uh, and trying to treat me for whatever it is too. And obviously, if they don't know what it is, there's no way they're going to treat it. So that's just a bad idea. Uh, but I think I've also kind of had a little bit of not really an epiphany this week, just more of an acceptance of a, even more of an acceptance, and which is, I mean, it's really saying something because there's been a lot of nights over the last, well, in my lifetime, but especially over the last 3 years, where I was terrified that evening of not, living more than at sometimes hours, often days or weeks. Uh, and uh, the difference now is it no longer terrifies me, I think. So I think, uh, even at its most extreme points now, um, I don't even think my pulse, races or anything. And I think part of that is the kind of I think they called it hypophyseal failure. Anyway, something when your pituitary is failing and it's trying to control all these hormones and stuff, and it's just kind of getting burnt out, and so it really can't, give you a little extra juice of adrenaline because it's basically shooting as much as it can all the time. Uh, and I think that's part of it. But it's interesting to note that uh, you know, I get a little emotional, but I don't get anxious so much. Anyway, uh, overall, I think I kicked ass at work this week. I managed to make it to the doctor. I'm trying to keep some things normal. We went to karaoke and I did turn the page, and feeling good about Michael Bublé. And you know, I'm just trying to keep it as normal as possible. It's, this has been 30 years of, mostly times that felt, uh, I mean, not that much different than I feel right now would be the honest truth is that, yeah, I mean, if I don't move at all right now, so I'm just sitting still, okay, then a lot of the pains aren't there. And I feel pretty normal. Uh, it's just when I start moving around now that I feel all the pains and things. But and I've been through a lot of phases of pain, specific pains that were there and they went away and everything. And this isn't, I mean, honestly, it's hardly anything compared to some of the stuff I've been through, what I'm feeling physically. Like the weakness sucks and having the legs hurt suck, but they're not like, you know, toil labrum hip pain level type thing. Uh, when at least when I tore mine, it was, I know that I came in on crutches. The pain was so severe, and they're like, "Well, we've never seen really somebody coming in on crutches from torn labor." And I said, "Well, yeah, yeah, but yeah." So I don't know. Uh, I think the week went pretty good, and I'm happy to see my son. And whatever happens this week happens this week. I'm going to tell you, I have been having alcoholic drinks on occasion, not a whole lot, but I actually had two singles last night at karaoke, and I had a beer earlier that I think might have set off this whole last thing, and I'm really okay with that because there's not a single other person out there that besides me that believes in the science. So if the nothing while I'm alive, I guess would be the best way to put it. I don't know. Uh, uh, Anything about the science isn't going to be decided. Uh, so, it kind of comes down to do I, am I, have I gotten to a point where I think it's close enough that any decisions I make impact the timeline in such a minor way that the trade-off becomes some type of a uh, justifiable thing to where, uh, if you've got 2 weeks left and you can leave the both of them, let's say 3 or 4 on your fun scale, or you can have one of them and you're on your 8 of your fun scale. I'm going to take the 1 week at 8 over the 2 weeks of 3 or 4. Kind of like that. Not the exact same thing, but that's the general gist of it. And so, I've been eating cake or cookies or, having a drink. And I know all these things are most likely bad for condition that I have, especially at the state that I'm in. But there's absolutely nobody out there that would believe me if I told them. And so it's just, we're down to my reasoning ability at that point. It's Jim, time to make the decision based upon all the evidence and how you feel. And it's my personal decision. So bring me in. I I have to be comfortable with whatever I'm deciding, and I've just been feeling better about being able to eat what I want and drink what I want, and so that's the decision I've been making. I think I'm in a good point with my son, getting ready to go to his summer abroad. Uh, my wife is done with her important projects. If something goes sideways, something goes sideways. Uh, Something's going to go sideways at some point. So, uh, just, my point is enjoy today, and whatever that is, to enjoy today. So I went out and bought a whole bunch of flowers for the flower bed. To have absolutely no idea if I for sure will be able to plant them tomorrow or not. Getting down on my knees and hands is going to be an experience, and I may be fine at it. I, I just don't know. Everything's changed so fast in the last couple weeks, but we'll find out tomorrow. And uh, yeah, because I enjoy that. So anyway, that's it for today, guys. I you know, this is so far past any date that I thought that I had a right to from 1995 to now. And I think there were points in time when I convinced myself that I did have a whole lifespan ahead of me, a normal lifespan. But I think the truth has been evident enough times now that uh, I don't know. This is where we are. So, uh, thank you for listening, and please share my story. It's quite unbelievable. And I honestly don't expect probably 1 in 10 people to believe it, but it's all true. So I don't know what to tell you. I saved myself using basically a weird version of an experiment from the early 20th century, and gave myself a condition which medicine chose to redact. And as a result, no one has the knowledge that that condition can even exist. And it's such an extremely, well, it's iatrogenic, so it's not naturally occurring. So it's so bizarre uh, that it doesn't fall within the realm of anything they've ever seen before. So, even with me walking into the room knowing what it is, honestly, it does absolutely no good. Uh, so we'll just see what tests can show, and that's all. We're just trying to document things at this point. And I've started. I kind of called the Cleveland Clinic and this week to talk more that had actually my doctor referred me to them. My neurologist did at my request, and they called me, and so I'm thinking about doing initiating the kind of long process. It's like a concierge thing. But I don't think the time is there. So I don't know. And I might call my doctor in Kansas City, who's a rheumatologist, I, and describe what's going on to her. But, none of these people can actually do anything. It's just, I would like it to be documented. So I don't know. It's a difficult place to be. I really, I'm not out here trying to be cured. Uh, Maybe